County Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Ms. Turner,
Present.
Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Miller,
Present.
Ms. Conwell. Ms. Conwell is absent at the moment. Oh, thank you. Mr. Sweeney,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 5th meeting? So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Madam Clerk, we have
Okay.
someone joining us via Zoom.
Yes, Madam Chair, the first item will be taken out of order. Item number 5K, Resolution 2024-0117, confirming the county executive's appointment of Dr. Lauren Bean to serve on the Cuyahoga County Women's Health Commission for the term May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2025.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair. Zoe Toscas on behalf of the County Executive and pursuant to Section 206.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Dr. Lauren Bean to the Women's Health Commission for an initial one-year term that will start on May 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension, and Dr. Bean will be joining us via Zoom this morning.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Dr. Bean. We can't hear you.
Oh, you
Oh,
can't hear me.
We can hear
Can
you
you
now.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
great.
thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for letting me join via Zoom. I had a clinic schedule already in place this morning, so I really appreciate your flexibility.
No problem. Well, thank you for joining us. What, do you have an introduction, intro statement?
Sure. So just a couple minutes on why I would like to pursue this role. Is
Yes,
that-
please.
Okay, wonderful. So, my name is Dr. Lauren Bean. I'm a general pediatrician in the community on the east side of Cleveland. I trained in Cleveland, stayed here where I now live, raising my two daughters. And through my work as a pediatrician, have had many opportunities to work as an advocate for my patients and their families on a personal level. I'm always doing everything I can to make sure that my patients have unobstructed access to care. And then I also had the opportunity to take my desire to be an advocate for my patients on a much larger scale over the past year and a half through my work on the Reproductive Freedom Ballot Initiative. The June 24th, 2022, when the Dobbs decision was passed, I had the opportunity to start an organization that we called Ohio Physicians for Reproductive Rights that quickly grew to have over 1,000 doctors within the first 4 days. And now we have over 4,000 healthcare providers and supporters who we all worked strongly together to get reproductive freedom on the ballot in Ohio in 2023, working alongside many incredibly powerful big and small organizations together to make a true grassroots change in our state for the better for women and people who can become pregnant in Ohio. And through that experience I learned a lot. I learned that my voice as a physician does carry some weight. I did not understand that before, but I now know that as a doctor, I not only have a responsibility to my patients that I see on a day-to-day basis to help make their lives a little better, but I also have a responsibility to my entire community and state to help use my position, my connections, and my education to help make the lives of women and children and their families in our community as healthy and safe and prosperous. Anyway, anything that I can do to help, it's my duty to do so. And so the opportunity to be on this commission, I am very excited by. I through my work with the ballot initiative, I learned that one person alone does not make a great difference, but a person working together with others who bring their experiences and their gifts and their connections and energy is how you make true change. And I'm very excited to be able to continue doing what I can to help try to make our area a safer, healthier place for women. Um, and I also learned a lot about being a voice for these issues. I learned to be very brave, going out and rallying, talking about how important it is that we have access to abortion for our patients over the last year and a half, and have learned that when people come out and say things that are going to maybe make other people uncomfortable, but they're important for them to hear. I really enjoy those opportunities. So I love to be able to go out there and advocate for necessary and important things. And in Cleveland, we have a real crisis. The maternal mortality rate in our city is embarrassing and horrible, as is the infant mortality rate, especially as we are an epicenter of healthcare for the world. And the fact that our women and babies, especially Black women and Black babies, are dying is absolutely appalling and a crime. And so I feel very strongly that I want to do everything I can to help remedy that problem. And I feel as though being a part of this commission will give me the opportunity to help in that process. Um, so I really am thankful for this opportunity. I'm thankful for the chance to establish relationships with you all, continue to work towards having equal, unobstructed access to healthcare for all people in our city, especially those who currently have the most barriers to care. And I am excited to build our coalitions, build our systems to be more powerful and achieve more for the city. So I thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Just for those listening at home, a little background on the Women's Health Commission. Its primary function will be to advise the executive on all matters regarding women's health, including reproductive health care. Will also help to guide the use of grants and other funding around women's and reproductive health in Cuyahoga County. Additionally, it will develop strategies to engage the public about the issues of women's health, and the commission will also create a crisis response plan in case of a total abortion ban. As this is a new commission, Dr. Bean, what are some of the first issues that you would like the commission to address?
So as this is a new commission, well, with regard to the issues of reproductive health care and being prepared and being able to advocate for our patients' access, our state came forward and resoundingly supported access to reproductive health care, including abortion. But we have not yet seen progress in actually making the changes that should be happening after establishing our constitutional protection through issue 1. There still continue to be barriers to accessing care, both in illegal laws that are on the books. So I think that it would be very powerful if our commission could come forward and make a statement regarding getting rid of these unconstitutional laws that are still causing barriers for care, which cause most harm for women who have economic challenges. And us coming together and telling the state this needs to change, I think would have an impact there. And I think that just looking for opportunities to make sure that the women in our city who need access to have reproductive health care are able to find the care that they need. And that I think is something that we could work on together.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman Conwell?
Yes, Dr. Bean, good morning. I just wanted to say infant mortality is appalling for all women, especially those that have barriers to care. And I just hope that you will bring your perspective from a healthcare provider's role. And I wanted to ask a question. How did you hear about this commission?
I heard about this commission because Chris Ronayne invited me to join and speak at the press conference that when this was announced. So I had the opportunity to be there, and I found this to be very moving. And that was pretty much when I first learned about it.
Okay, and I thought you looked familiar. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, well, seeing that we have no further questions and quite a rather long agenda, I think we look forward to catching up with you somewhere through this process to hear how things are going. So thank you for your willingness to serve, and we look forward to some outcomes, some positive outcomes.
As do I. Thank you. It's an honor.
You are welcome. Okay, take care.
Thank you. You too.
Madam Chair,
Did somebody want to make a motion?
Second reading of the suspension, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend for passage on second reading suspension.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
The next item will also be taken out of order. Item number 5D, Resolution 2024-0100, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Nyla K. Bird to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community Improvement Corporation Board of Trustees for the term February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2027.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 1724, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Nyla Bird to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community Improvement Corporation for the term that started February 1st, 2024, and will end January 31st, 2027. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Nyla Bird, County Clerk of Courts. I just want to take a time to, first of all, thank you for taking me out of order. As I indicated to your staff, I have to drive to Columbus this afternoon, so I very much appreciate it. Secondly, I'm not going to give a brief introduction as I am intimately familiar with all of you as you are with me, and I'm seeking your reconfirmation or reappointment to this most important board that I've served on. I was appointed, as you may recall, probably about 2 years ago by the former county executive Armin Budish, and have been an active and participatory member of the commission since being appointed and confirmed. So happy to answer any questions you may have. I still, I must say to Councilman Miller as well as Sweeney, I still am Leadership Cleveland's best class ever, 2014.
I do not doubt
If you
that.
remember, we talked about that last time. So happy to answer any questions you may have, council people.
The Final Four is here. The competition is going. Do you have any questions for Clerk Bird? Councilman Miller and Sweeney?
So, Madam Chair, Ms. Bird, I'm not going to get into the debate about the
It's fine.
Cleveland class, but focus on moving the county ahead economically. And my question is what the current economic development environment is in the county right now in terms of what you're seeing before the commission? Is this a time where there's a lot of deals coming through and a lot of people asking for economic development, or are we kind of in a lull right now where there's not too much?
So to the, through the chair to the council person, what I've noticed during the meetings, and the meetings meet once a month. We have meetings every month. There are deals presented every month that we meet. I can't speak to whether or not it's a lull or an increase or a decrease. What I can say is in the over 2 years that I've been a part of the commission, it has been steady. So there are deals that I think are both necessary and important that are presented by the Department of Development to the commission to weigh in on.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Sweeney.
Through the chair to the clerk, I'd just like to make the motion, second, to get her to Columbus so she can fight for us.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Hey,
Aye.
I had a question.
Yeah, we'll
My
do-
bonus points.
Still in discussion.
Through the chair to Ms. Byrd, have you seen any improvements, or are there any improvements on the board that you feel, since you've been on there, to make? You know, in terms of efficiencies, getting things moved out? What's your take on that?
Yeah, through the chair to the councilwoman, I have not, but I don't think there are room for efficiencies or improvements, if that makes sense. I think the board runs extremely well under our chair. I think there's a lot of collaboration. I think we move things appropriately. I think the Department of Development staff does a really good job of presenting the information. So I don't think there's room for improvement, if that answers your question.
Okay, so just a little background. The Cuyahoga County Community Improvement Corporation serves for the sole purpose of advancing, encouraging, and promoting the industrial, economic, commercial, and civic development of Cuyahoga County. The corporation serves as the county's review agent for industrial revenue bond financing and economic development lending activity. And my one question is, what is your philosophy regarding government assistance in economic development lending?
I think it's critical. I think it's key. I think it's necessary, and I think it's important. I think it has to be done in such a way, though, that it's done smartly, meaning that their repayment and is appropriate, and you're getting the bang for the buck. But I think it's a necessary vehicle.
Thank you. Further questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion to move this item to the full body? Oh, we
Yeah.
did, all right, is that it?
Madam Chair, we just need to confirm second reading suspension
Second
and an
reading.
overall vote.
Yeah. Who made the motion? I did. It was seconded by Miller.
Yes.
All were in favor?
Aye.
Again, I thank you for taking me out of order, and thank you to staff for that. Have a great day.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Okay, we will resume to the beginning of the agenda with item A, Resolution 2024-0093, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Albert Bouchahine, the Manager of Classification and Compensation for the Personnel Review Commission. Accompanying me today is, for these proceedings, is a member of my team, Class and Comp Specialist Alexandra Prang. She has her master's degree from the University of Akron in industrial and organizational psychology and has been with the PRC for almost 4 years. She may be asked from time to time if I'm unavailable to present these future changes to you. Before you for your consideration today are changes to the county's non-bargaining classification plan. Changes in the department's operational needs and routine maintenance necessitate the creation of 5 new classifications, the revision of 4 classifications, and the deletion of 1 classification. 2 of the proposed new classifications were requested by the administration, that being the appraisal permit coordinator and the senior supervisor of investigations. Those positions will be filled as soon as those positions become active in the county's class plan. The Public Works Stockroom Supervisor is a result of a position audit determination by the Department of Human Resources. And the final 2 new classifications are a result of ongoing projects by the PRC in coordination with the Human Resources Department to create job-specific classifications for jobs that are currently classified as program officers or social program officers. The 4 classifications being revised are part of the PRC's routine maintenance process, and there should be no fiscal impact as a result of these revisions. And finally, the classification proposed for deletion has been determined to be an unclassified position due to the fiduciary administrative nature of the position. All the modifications before you were presented to the PRC, to the Department of Human Resources and management staff to ensure that they're well informed of these proposed changes. The PRC voted at their public meeting to approve these changes on February 14th. Madam Chair, I'm requesting a second reading suspension as the departments have a need to fill the new jobs they have requested as soon as possible. I thank you for your consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Boucher? Councilwoman Conwell?
Good morning. Through the chair to Albert, the new proposed classification, what goes into, if you can just explain a little bit to us, what goes into new proposed classifications? What do you guys have to do?
If they are requested by the departments, we have the departments fill out a comprehensive position questionnaire that outlines all the duties, responsibilities of the position. We draft it based on that questionnaire and work with them to ensure that the language is appropriate. Once we finalize the language, we send it out to the county's class and comp consultant who evaluates it for pay grade, the range. We just determine the range that it is. HR determines where in the range an employee would get paid. Then we would bring it through the legislative process of the PRC and to you forth.
Okay, are they usually new hires or from outside or
Madam Chair,
existing staff?
Madam Chair to Councilwoman Conwell, good question. Sometimes they are new classifications that don't have any incumbents, so positions will be posted and filled through the county's hiring process. There are times where there are employees, such for example as the two positions in homeless services. There are two employees there that are currently, I believe they're social program administrators. We want the positions, the jobs to be reflective of what these employees do. Sometimes the program officers and social program officers are kind of a generic catch-all. So these employees, once this classification becomes active, will be reassigned by the Department of Human Resources into these classifications.
Make sure that there's no, I can't think of the word right now. Where the pay is fair, and I can't think of the word.
Equitable?
No, not equitable.
Madam Chair, members of council, that determination, once we've created the classification, and Human Resources then works to.
Compression, that's the word I'm looking for. Compression.
That is determined at the same time by the Department of Human Resources. They look at the salaries of the employees, other employees in the organizational structure, and determine where in that class pay grade an employee should fall. And one of the things they do look at is compression.
And for, through the chair for the Exhibit D, senior supervisor, which department would that be in for investigation?
For investigations, it's in the Department of Health and Human Services. I believe it's in one of the new shared services model. I'm not sure the exact name of the department. I know that the head of that unit within Health and Human Services is Marcos Cortez. He oversees that unit of investigators, but I don't know.
So that's Marcos is in contracting, so.
I believe that's where it would be, yes.
Okay, so you're not really adding on, for some of these, you're not really adding on a lot of employees into the role, just probably, they look like pretty much they're particular for supervisory or something like that.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman, all of these new classifications, as I see them, are all going to have single incumbents in these positions, one person.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller?
Madam Chair, to Albert, could you say a little bit more about the one that resulted from a position audit?
Councilwoman, Council Chair to Councilman Miller, the position was a Public Works employee who filed a job audit with the Department of Human Resources. They had sent out a position questionnaire, CPQ, to that employee. After reviewing the CPQ, it was evident that employee, I believe, was at the time or still is, until this is approved, an administrative assistant of some sort. But it was clear that they specifically worked on overseeing the stock rooms of all the different buildings that Public Works works out of. So they had discussed it with us. They proposed a new classification. We agreed this position was unique enough not to be an administrative assistant of some sort. So we created this position. Once it becomes effective, then Human Resources again would reassign that employee to this classification.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Albert, how are you?
Good morning.
Just on Dale's, and I have another one. Is then a pay band's created for this?
Yes, this position is the supervisor of the Public Works stockroom. It's pay grade 7A, and it's non-exempt.
Through the chair, you just figured that out yourself by, or is there a system that caused that to be chosen?
Madam Chair, to Councilman Sweeney, there is a system, the county's class and comp consultant uses a point factor system to award points based on different responsibility factors, budget authority, whether they supervise and so forth. Those points equate to a pay grade within our pay band, and it's assigned to a pay grade. We then inform the departments of the pay grade recommendation. If they have no questions, then we bring them forward to you.
For the chair, to Albert, thank you for that very thorough explanation. Now my silly one, not silly, but welcome, which Alexander, welcome. You've been there 4 years, almost. Tell me, and you have a master's in this field, what do you think about the PRC system or style compared to other, because PRC was created 12 years ago. How do you think it's working? And I just want to hear your perspective after 4 years, or almost 4 years, from a fresh set of eyes. Or just tell me a little bit about your experience. There's no pressure here.
I think our process is very thorough. This is,
You have to say your name.
oh, sorry, his name. Councilwoman too.
Councilman Sweeney.
Councilman Sweeney. This is the second place I've worked. I worked at a furniture company before in HR, and I think this process is very thorough. I've seen how some other counties and cities do the process, and they either take way too long to do it, or they don't do as good of a job. And I think the way we work with our SMEs and with HR, I think our class plan is very thorough and very specific to people's jobs, at least we're trying to. With our program officers, like Albert was saying, we're trying to make new positions for people so people get paid fairly and their job description is accurate to what they're doing. I think we're doing a good job. I think our process is very good.
For that observation, and through the chair. And it's a fair system to get hired, would you say? Because in other systems that are out there, there's a little bit of patronage, whatever word I'm trying to say. So it's a thorough, fair process, and everybody in the county has the opportunity. Come on, I'm picking on her, man.
I see that, and that's why I'm going to take over.
Nice, wasn't I?
Councilwoman, it's a good question, Councilman Sweeney, but to be fair to Alexandra, she doesn't really have experience on the hiring side of the PRC.
Okay.
That's our testing team, who I work with on a daily basis. The PRC was created out of the charter and specifically due to some of the issues that arose, such as patronage system. Our system is based on merit and fitness. And how do we test for that merit and fitness is by doing employment tests that are specific to those jobs, by creating eligibility lists where all people that pass the criteria, whatever the scoring threshold is, that's determined by the PRC testing team and she mentioned SMEs, the subject matter experts at those departments, get on eligibility lists, and the departments then have an opportunity to interview those employees that pass. In past, people didn't have to take tests. And our tests, Councilman, are not generic, like people think of a federal test you have to take for the post office. They're not general knowledge tests. They're actually specific to the job that you're applying for. I believe that we've come a long way in eliminating the patronage system specifically for classified positions.
And through the chair, thank you. And you talked about the charter being created. I think this is one of the shining examples of the charter doing what it's supposed to do to improve Cuyahoga County, and other ones we need a little bit of work on still.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me mess with you.
My final question is regarding the forensic pathologist position in the medical examiner's office. This is not being eliminated, it's just being reclassified, correct?
Madam Chair, that is correct. It was currently in the class plan. It's a classified position. As a part of a review done by the law department in our office, based on administrative fiduciary duties, such as now they act in the place of the medical examiner when he's not available. They have the ability to sign death certificates and cause of death. So the law department, and we agree, feel that that position should be unclassified, and we want to remove it from the class plan. There is an incumbent or two in those classifications. Nothing will change for them except their their civil service status.
Hey, not even their pay? Their pay implications?
Not as a result of this, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Their pay was changed some time ago with other pathologists due to market pressures. But as a result of this, no.
Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading, approval under suspension of the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0098, confirming the county executive's appointment of Leonard DeCosmo to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for the term April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2027.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 3381, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Leonard DeCosimo to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for the term that started April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2027. He will be replacing Charna Sherman, and we are requesting a second reading suspension on this, and Leonard is here to present.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson Turner. My name is Leonard DeCosimo. I'm the president of the Cleveland Federation of Musicians, the executive secretary of the North Shore Federation of Labor, and I am a working artist. I am still a recording and performing artist of my own music, as well as working with singer-songwriter Alex Bevan. I've served on the conducting faculty of Baldwin Wallace Conservatory of Music, as well as Lakeland Community College at all levels of collegiate education, where I've directed music theater, taught conducting classes, and conducted choirs as well. The work we do at Local 4, the music union, includes negotiating, arbitrating, and mediating all levels of nonprofit arts organizations in the county and beyond, including the Cleveland Orchestra, all of the theaters at Playhouse Square Foundation, and including freelance work at venues like the Beck Center, at the Karamu House, at Kane Park. In fact, as a working artist, I just produced and directed a program on the relationship between Mahalia Jackson and Martin Luther King that was premiered at the Karamu House last month, and we're looking forward to doing that in education programs throughout the spring. What attracted me to this position is the vital need for arts and culture in this market. It's such an important aspect of social humanitarianism for at-risk communities, however we want to define that. And the commitment of CAC to DEI practices is something that I feel very strongly about in my labor career, and trying to include that as I try to rebrand what organized labor means to our community. Because particularly when we move from more traditional means of employment to what is happening in the past generation, which is the service industry, these are the workers, our friends and neighbors in Northeast Ohio, who are going to be directly affected and directly benefited by diversity, equity, and inclusion. I also am very strong in favor of moving forward with a levy this fall for Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. I served on the initial committees at the request of Stephen Minter, who late of the Cleveland Foundation, where we created policies and helped on the initial process of connecting this funding to what was then called sin tax, and now it's to the cigarette tax. And I've been very active with representatives downstate on both sides of the aisle to see if there is an opportunity in creating legislation in both houses, the Senate and House of Representatives, to see if there is additional funding in the new marijuana tax laws that are being debated down there as well. Cuyahoga Arts and Culture is not the end-all for this kind of funding that's needed in our area, but it is the most important part. It is the most vital and most recognized funding that we have in Northeast Ohio, and I'm just really honored to be able to bring my experience to all of this.
Thank you for agreeing to serve. Any questions? Councilwoman Conwell, then Miller. Ms. Sweeney.
Through the chair to Mr. DeCosmo, I think we're all concerned about the levy this fall and with the decrease of sin tax or cigarette tax, you know, with people stopping smoking, which is a good thing. Are you guys taking that into thought, into consideration in terms of how you move forward? 10 years when, you know, it seems like I was on the mantra, what are we going to do, what are we going to do? Every time someone came up here in terms of, you know, the sin tax, and we knew that we were, you know, sunsetting. So your thoughts on terms of, is that being a consideration because the...
Thank you, Councilwoman Conwell. Yes, it is one of our principal considerations. But from my vantage point and my experience, I see that people who are smoking are going to smoke. And I think that when you have that as a part of that vice as a part of your life, it doesn't matter what the cost is. And when you look at point of sale retail for that particular product, it doesn't make a difference to the consumer of that, in my experience and with the people I represent throughout a wide spectrum. I also was favored to share an op-ed moment a few months ago where I spoke specifically about Cuyahoga Arts and Culture and the need for a levy, and then Jennifer Coleman from the Gun Foundation writing about the need for additional funding, and we decided to focus our thoughts on that. We think that's something that can be easily be achieved if we use the correct tactics. I think that what history has shown in terms of passing an issue as wildly popular as Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, which over the past, when it was tied to the cigarette tax, has passed with over 70% of the votes, that this is achievable, and it's pairing it up with other issues. That has been my experience in terms of the political environment of this county.
Thank you. Councilman?
So, Madam Chair, to Director DeCosmo, do you know whether we're allowed to tax marijuana at the local level, or is that not allowed, or is that still being determined by the state?
That's still being determined by the state. What I understand is that in the Senate, in the state Senate, there's a bipartisan bill by Kent Smith and Jamie Collender. And I don't have those materials with me, Councilman Miller, but that's winding its way there. And I know that Sister Juanita Brent in the House is looking very, very closely at that as well. I'm not sure anything exists right now, but it's being scrutinized within an inch of its life.
Thank you.
Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You said Alex Bevan?
You bet. We just performed yesterday for a rally for Senator Sherrod Brown.
Through the chair, who's the original skinny little boy? Is that him? Or is that
Yes, it
somebody-
is. And he's the first to tell you he's not so skinny anymore.
That was about him, though.
Yes, he wrote the song.
I know he wrote the song, but it's about a skinny little boy from Cleveland, Ohio.
I'll speak on behalf of Alex. Yes, knowing him, I think it was exactly about him.
Well, I just needed a point of personal privilege and clarity on this particular topic. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. You spoke earlier about diversity. I want to ask you about diversity and funding various arts organizations in the county and how critically important that is. The Arts District has funded over 300 organizations across the county. How do you propose to ensure that the Arts District continues this practice, and even how can we improve it?
Well, to ensure that it continues, my approach will be to look at the parameters that are required. There are codes, there are state codes that are required of what we have to fund. I would certainly first look to that. I would also, if I am appointed, to be able to bring my personal view to this, that I think it's one of the most important things that we can do. That if we're going to, if I'm going to be a part of an organization that funds a wide array of arts, I certainly want to make sure that the widest array, if not every aspect of humanity, is involved in creating the art, is involved in producing the art, and is involved in being a patron of that arts. That is something I will personally bring to that. I think that when we see in the theater, when we see alternative casting, when we see visual arts, that you don't really know who the author is or who the creator is, and then you realize who the artist is, it should represent all of humanity. That's my personal view.
If there are no further questions, I want to thank you probably for being a muse to so many in your leadership role and all the different areas that you create or work with others to create. Your perspective is valued in this space, and again, we want to thank you for agreeing to serve. If there are no further questions, I'm going to ask for a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading suspension under the rules. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Chair.
Welcome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Resolution 2024-0099, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Carolyn Eisenhart to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for the term April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2027.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the County Executive and pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 3381, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Carolyn Eisenhart to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for the term that started April 1st, 2024 and will end February 31st, 2027.
Good morning.
March. I'm so sorry. I would like to reread that.
Okay.
Started April 1st, 2024, and will end March 31st, 2027. We are requesting a second reading suspension, and Carolyn is here to present. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, council members. I want to first thank you for being appointed. Gosh, it feels like a long time ago, but it was about 2.5 years ago to initially finish a term that was vacated. So and now I'm here to ask for reappointment. I'm rarely nervous, you guys know that, but here I am. My career in the arts is long and frankly diverse. I've began in 35 years ago, actually. It's when I first got started at the auction house, and I still remember the first day that I walked in. And it sort of changed my life and put me on a path. In addition to continuing with that as a fine arts auctioneer for almost 30 years now, I've had other full-time jobs, but the arts has always been that constant thread. through my life. And for 12 years ago, I joined the board of the Lakewood Arts Festival, and I'm the board president and chair of a festival that is a nonprofit that funds artist grants and student scholarships in Lakewood. And we are self-funding. We do not take CAC money or any foundation money. And it's one of the, first of all, it's the best day of the year. I invite everyone to come down. It'll be August 3rd. But our work really does go throughout the entire year. In fact, this Saturday we'll have a jury. We'll have our jury where we decide the 165 artists that will get to present that day. And we have a record 420 applications, so it's going to be a long day, so please send me your warmest thoughts on Saturday. But the CAC, back to the CAC, is, I just want to second everything that Leonard DeCosimo said. It is truly a special and unique funding opportunity for nonprofits. In so many communities, only the big organizations can get money. The big organizations that have massive endowments are able to have, be the arts and culture focus. In Cuyahoga County, it's all of these organizations. And that really is special. And if we can think back to 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or when we were kids, the arts were just in 2 or 3 locations in the county, and now they're everywhere. And the way they can touch lives and make a difference in everyone's life is really important. And I really value the opportunity to be able to serve again on this board.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Eisen? Sweeney and Miller?
Madam Chairwoman, through the chair, thank you for stepping up again. I remember 2.5 years when you came here. And the same question I want to ask through the chair. The board has gone through changes, right? There was a little bit of drama here and there, and you said it's getting on the right path. And just asking your perspective where it is now. And from my perspective, it's pretty solid right now.
Through the chair, Councilman, yes, we've had a lively 2.5 years. Yeah. But I think we're moving through that. There's always lots of questions on, people, and people have different perspectives on things, but I think of the leadership of our former, well, soon to be former board president and vice president has been really important in guiding us through that. And the staff of the CAC, frankly, are some of the most wonderful, dedicated people that you'll want to have. And we've all just really unified as much as we could to make sure that this organization continues, because this public money needs to be, again, going out to these incredible organizations. And we also, the organization's so well run, I served on the audit committee. It received an award from the state of Ohio for a clean audit for like 15 years or something. So it's very well run, and we just stand up and unite and keep the work going. And there's always going to be people that are critical, but there's always good people to do the work.
Yeah, through the chair, I recognize the efforts and applaud the direction of the strong board and the strong staff, and having the work product and evident and the drama out of the paper will just serve miles of positive for their levy when it comes. Just focus on the artist and the work that's being done, keep the drama to the side, and I think it's going to be 70 plus as we had before. So that's just my 2 cents, but thank you for your service. And can you add my name to this one?
Thank you.
Councilman Miller?
So, Madam Chair, Ms. Eisenhart, thank you very much for your willingness to serve, and besides all the excellent credentials that you put forward, you also have a strong political background, and that's very useful, because the arts and culture has to deal with the political process on a regular basis, and your knowledge of elections and campaigning is very valuable. And you also did not mention the most important selling point on behalf of your candidacy, which is that you're a resident of County Council District 2. And I'm,
It is.
I'm
oh, sorry.
proud to have you as my constituent. And so my one question is whether the decision has essentially been made by the board that this November is the time to present an issue to the voters, or is that still under consideration?
Through the chair, I believe it is still under consideration. Obviously, there's a lot of stakeholders that need to come to the table, all of you included. So ideally, we will be on the ballot in November because the option would be on the ballot in 2025 in November, and that could do damage to the consistent funding that we have for, again, all these great organizations, and that would be very detrimental. But it is, there are many people that have to come to the table to make it happen. The levy is ideally, again, going to be in November, so we would want to bring something before County Council in this, before the end of Q2.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Conwell.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. To Ms. Eisenhart, just wanted to say that County Council first got elected, new government. We worked, I personally worked closely with Karen Galls Mills to be more diverse in the allocation of funding, and specifically with gender board specific, making sure that women were also on the board to lend their voice. In terms of the levy, are you guys, the board, the ones that will determine if it will be an increase in the taxes, or?
I believe that Columbus already gave us the permission to increase it.
Okay.
So it would be a renewal and an increase. But there would be obviously more to come on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, my colleagues kind of helped around the questions I had around funding and your thoughts about the levy. And you just spoke to diversity and equity issues. Any final thoughts in your best auctioneer voice?
Well, first I would have to be turned this way, but I did not bring my gavel today. But when we get the levy passed, I'll be happy to do that for you. I don't know, I wouldn't want to, I guess we could sell the flag, but that's probably not appropriate.
Good.
Okay, next time. I'm putting her on the spot. Wait, we were all waiting like, go. No, again, Ms. Eisenhart, we want to thank you again for your willingness to continue to serve. You are an asset and value to this commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'll make a motion
Okay, it's been moved.
to recommend passage with second reading suspension.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Can I have my name added?
Add Councilwoman Conwell's name. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0101, confirming the county executive's appointment of Ronald Jajitsky to serve on the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for an unexpired term ending March 6, 2028.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Section 339.02, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Ronald Jajicki to the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for an unexpired 6-year term that will end March 6th, 2028. He will be replacing Terrence Monley, and we're requesting a second reading suspension on this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Council. My name is Ronald E. Jajitsky. I am a lifelong resident of Northeast Ohio, and I'm here today to just briefly discuss my desire and qualifications to serve on the Metro Health Board. First, it's important to note that I come from a family of service. My parents were both World War II veterans. My mother served at the 127th General Hospital. My father served in Eisenhower's headquarters. And growing up as a baby boomer, we were taught the value of service to the family, to the country, to the community, to the nation. So that was instilled in me at a very young age. By training, I'm actually a trauma nurse. I graduated from the finest women's college in Ohio, which is Ursuline College. I was the first male to graduate from Ursuline College, Center for Nursing. One of the reasons I am seeking to pay back is my formative leader years were actually at Metro Health System at the old Cleveland Metropolitan General Hospital. I actually met my wife at Cleveland Metropolitan General Hospital. She is also a nurse. She actually went to nursing school at Cleveland Metropolitan General Hospital. I proposed to her on Valentine's Avenue, which was where the old dorm was, across the street from the old Toomey Garage. My formative later years were as a head nurse manager and an administrative director for trauma critical care services at Metro after graduation from Ursuline. And I had a very good mentor there that essentially led me into a path where I took more administrative positions. The other thing that I did is I'm dual-hatted. I'm a citizen soldier. I sought a direct commission from the United States Army Reserve back in 1984, which is the same time I started at Metro Health, and served a 32-year career in the United States Army Reserve. My dual-hatted positions in leadership, I retired as the commanding general, 3rd Medical Command. I was a major general commanding one of the 2 subordinate medical commands, the United States Army. 80% of the Army medical, or actually 80% of all medical coming out of active component comes out of the reserve. In the last 5 years, I had the operational responsibilities for health service support in the Middle East and Africa. In my civilian role, I worked in private sector. I also worked in clinical settings. I worked for health benefit companies, learning how health insurance works. I worked at teaching hospitals, private hospitals, community hospitals, HMOs, spanning a 40-plus year career. I currently serve on the Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District Board. I am the vice chair. Next year, I will be the chair of that Conservancy District Board. I have a 5-year term and one 5-year renewal coming up, so I'll be on that board for another 5 years. And again, the reason why I'm seeking appointment to this board is I am Catholic. St. Francis taught us that it's by giving you receive, and I feel this is going full circle in my career, and I'm going to take the strategic leader lessons that I've learned in my 32-year Army career, my 40-year healthcare career, and apply them to assist the current president of the Metro Health System and the county executive in furthering the ability of the Metro Health System in this market. Healthcare is a VUCA environment. VUCA is an acronym used in the military: volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous. I served in VUCA environments, both in my civilian job and in my military job, and I just feel after it's time for me to step up to the plate before I fade off in the gray line like MacArthur talked about, and actually fully retire. Pending your questions, ma'am.
Thank you. Impressive. Any questions from colleagues?
I didn't have a question specifically for Mr. Ronald, but for Zoe. So after these couple of appointments for the Metro Health Board, are there any openings still?
No, there is an upcoming expiration this April, I think, of Maureen D. But we are moving forward with a recommendation for that as well, too. So there are technically no active vacancies on Metro.
And remind us again how many board members are.
Give me 1 second. I can get that for you. 10.
And then Mr. Deziki, impressive resume. Did you state that your wife works at Metro?
She worked at Metro. So she went to nursing school, to the old diploma school, Cleveland Metropolitan School of Nursing. And actually, I wooed her in the old dorms at Metro Health when I was going to nursing school.
All right. And have you had the pleasure to, so I take it this is new, a new position for you? Or have you?
Mean the appointment?
For the board, yeah.
For I don't know if it's a new position. I'm filling the term of a prior candidate.
But I mean, you haven't been a board member in the
No,
past?
ma'am. No.
Okay. So I take it that you've had the pleasure to meet Dr. Steed, Eric?
Actually, we have.
Okay.
So we had a very good meeting, and again, she's also a strategic leader that's a nurse, and I just happen to be a strategic leader that's a nurse also.
Thank you.
Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for your interest in serving. Metro is a important asset in Cuyahoga County. And you mentioned that you're here to support the CEO, and she's wonderful. She's taken charge. She's making her own brand, and she's moving forward. But I see a board as not supporting, giving direction to, and working with your other colleagues to be able to say, this is what we believe should be happening here, and how it gets operated, and it's a system that's in place through the chair. Can you talk a little bit about the board operation compared in relationship, the board relationship with the CEO?
So having served on many boards, the role that I see, I serve as a strategic support to the county because of the funding, the support that Metro gets through the county, as well as to the leadership team. Nurse by training, plan, do, check, act. It's pretty simple. From a strategic perspective, having taught at the University of Pennsylvania School of Leadership at the Deloitte Academy, my role is strategic to assist her in establishing goals that align and nest with the county goals, as well as the population goals, and provide her the strategic lead back. The tactical, the good thing about the Army, I'm gonna go back to Army leadership. Army leadership is not about the general ordering the troops to do the mission. Army leadership is about giving the expected end state, where we want that entity to go, and allow that tactical leader to develop the actions to support that end state. So going back to your question, my role is to help her identify what the end state is for that institution, and then she'll develop the tactical actions that will help her achieve that end state. But my role is there to support and to guide as a strategic leader.
Yeah, through the chair, support and guide are, I just like a strong independent board.
I have no problem being strong or independent.
Yeah, no, I'm just, because you called it VUCAS or whatever.
VUCA, volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous.
Yeah,
That's not Metro, that's healthcare in general in this country.
But through the chair, I heard, and there was some kind of consternation with the board. And this is super serious for me.
Okay.
And I want to see that, and you're going to add I don't see any other board member that has the expertise that you have from your professional career.
Correct.
The employee, and Dr. Steed has both. She has the employee and the leadership.
Correct.
So I see you coming in, because there's a money person, there's a lawyer there, Harry Walker's wonderful. So adding you is wonderful, but I just want to hear that, and you, VUCA, that just got me.
Okay.
It's in your brain that there could be some.
What's in my brain is accomplishing mission. So for 32 years, my only role as a commanding general was take care of the troops, ensure, again, care delivery in a war zone, and ensuring those troops made it home. And my civilian career was always about accomplishing mission. So my job as I get there will be to help her to accomplish the mission.
Got it, and help develop the mission.
Yes, sir.
That's my.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to.
And the mission changes. That's why you go back I go back to nursing, which the good discussion we had yesterday was about this whole do, plan, check, act. I've already done a primary assessment. You know, I'm a gold trauma nurse. You do your primary assessment, then you do your secondary assessment. Primary assessment, I went online and read all of their annual reports going back for the last 10 years. I went out and pulled out the financials that I could find to look at their operating. Because again, you know, I have the chief operating officer background. You know, good news about coming out of private sector and military. U.S. government, the military's appropriated budget. My budgets were appropriated at the federal level. And then I worked in private sector, both for for-profit and not-for-profit. So again, I will do the mission, and I will assist and guide and encourage for her to move that in the direction it needs to move.
And through the chair, since you brought it up, the primary assessment over the last 10 years, what's your outcome from that assessment?
This is a triopoly market, just like Columbus.
To do that
Triopoly market. You've got 3 primary competitors in this market. Columbus has 3 primary competitors. Columbus.
So UH and.
That's correct. So the question becomes, they have a very important role to play in this community, and I just think, going back to your point, I just think that they can continue to thrive in this environment, setting the right, she's working on her strategic plan now. We had lunch yesterday. She's working on her strategic plan. The decision on where that path they're going to take and how they're going to accomplish that is really dependent upon the development and the execution of the strategic plan that she's going to present to the board.
Yeah, and through the chair, I'm just going to drive a little bit. You looked at the last 10 years.
Correct.
I wouldn't mind getting your assessment, maybe not offline if you want.
Sure.
On what it looks like for 10 years, because it wasn't always smooth.
Actually, I was there years ago when Henry Manning was the president. So I know the development of the current system based on what happened post-Henry Manning era as well. I've been in this market for 40 years. So I've worked at all three health systems in this market.
I look forward to talking to you about the 10 years assessment for you.
More than happy to grab a beer with you and listen to Alex Bevan, so.
I have to be guilty and say probably I'd enjoy that with you. Thank you.
Any of your questions, ma'am?
So my colleague Sweeney was kind of touching all around it, and what was that acronym again?
VUCA.
What was it?
Volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous.
Ambiguous. Okay. Well, I hope you don't really have to utilize this in this role. There's been a lot going on, a lot of questions about the leadership and the direction of Metro Health under Dr. Steve's leadership. She's amazing. One nurse to the other. I'm sure that this is an amazing relationship that you all are forming, and an allyship with, I believe, one mission, the same mission, right?
Ma'am.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for this board working with the president and CEO, if any, or biggest opportunity?
It's too early for me to really, good news about being an old Army leader and serving overseas in a coalition, with coalition forces. It's like a good nurse, so I'm going to do my assessment and have my conversations as we move forward, so.
Okay. Thank you.
I prefer not to step in landmines, ma'am.
Okay, well, if there are no further questions, can I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading and approval under suspension of the rules?
So moved.
It's been moved, there's been second by Conwell, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
today. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0108, confirming the county executive's appointment of Nancy Mendez to serve on the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for the term March 6, 2023 through March 5th, 2029.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Section 339.02, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Nancy Mendez to the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for a term that started on March 6, 2023, and will end March 5th, 2029. She will be replacing Vanessa Whiting. We are requesting a second reading suspension for this appointment. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to thank the council for your consideration for my appointment.
Ms. Mendez, can you just state your name for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Nancy Mendez. I am the CEO of Starting Point, an organization that does all things education outside of the school building. Again, I want to thank the council for your consideration. Why I am interested in this position, about 15 years ago, there was some research done that looked at life expectancy. And we know that in that research, they showed discrepancies, differences of up to 20 years life expectancy depending on the neighborhood that you grew up in. What that research also showed was that it had not so much to do with what was happening in the hospital, but what was happening outside of the hospital. Access to parks, fresh produce, jobs, parks, things of that sort. And so that really aligns with the work that I've been involved in the last 30 years. I have worked at Case Western Reserve University in research at the medical school on looking specifically on the different populations and how interventions will or will not work with those populations. I've worked in several nonprofits throughout my career. I did serve 12 years at United Way of Greater Cleveland, funding the work in the communities, looking at disparities. And I'm very excited about the direction of Metro Health. I'm very excited about the leadership there and the possibilities. Things like the Institute of Hope, for example, where they again are really taking a look at those discrepancies, those health disparities, and working in collaboration with our community to really improve the health outcomes of every citizen in our county, regardless of the neighborhood they grew up in, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of how, what their income is. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the future of Metro Health.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any working relationships with the Metro Health System in your current role as President and Chief Executive Officer with Starting Point, or your other involvement with other civic leadership positions?
So I do sit on the board of the Gun Foundation, and I also sit on the board of the Cleveland State University Foundation as well. There is no conflict of interest in terms of funding, but as always, there are initiatives and or work that we do in partnership. So at Starting Point, for example, we have an initiative where we are remediating lead from child care centers and homes, and Metro Health will be helping us with testing. There is no dollars that are being passed through. It's just collaboration for remediation of lead and testing for our children.
And what do you see as the biggest challenge for this board?
I think the biggest challenge for this board is that we need to provide support and leadership for the new leader, the new CEO of Metro. Bringing all of our different expertise to the table, being a sounding board for that leader, and being an advocate for the work that is ahead of us.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that your answer was not adversarial, and it seems like, you know, you are all on the same page and wanting to, you be in a position to provide the best care for the clients and patients that the system serves. So thank you. Very glad to hear that.
Thank you, Chair.
Councilwoman Conwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to Ms. Mendez. So you recently, not too long ago, stated that to provide support and leadership of our CEO. Is this the first time that you'll be on this board?
Through the chair, Councilman, yes.
Okay, so I was just wondering if, by you making that statement, if she wasn't getting that already.
I'm not sure she was not getting it. I know that if I am appointed to the board, that is something that I would plan to provide her.
Thank you.
Well, if there are no further questions for Ms. Mendez, I want to thank you for your service to the Cuyahoga Cultural Arts Commission as well. May I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading under suspension of the rules?
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a
Second.
second? Moved second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I'd like to add my name.
Councilwoman Conwell's name. I was trying to sound like an auctioneer, Carolyn. Better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mendez.
Resolution 2024-0111, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Dr. Judith G. Satina to serve on the Cuyahoga County Monument Commission for the term March 1st, 2024 through February 28th, 2027.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to Cuyahoga County Charter Section 206.10, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Dr. Judith Satina to serve on the Monument Commission of Cuyahoga County for the term that started March 1st, 2024 and will end February 28th, 2027. We are requesting a second reading suspension on this appointment. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the council. Very happy to be here this morning. Again, my name is Judith G. Satina. I have been the county archivist for more years than I care to admit. And as far as my own background, I was born in Cleveland, raised in Cleveland Heights, and I continue to reside there. My academic background, I have a BA, MA, and PhD in history, Case Western Reserve University. I also have a degree, master's degree from John Carroll University. I'm really very pleased to be given a chance to serve another term on the Monument Commission. This will be my third term. I have had an opportunity to serve as vice president of the commission. And using my background and experience in archives, I was able to create for the commission a retention schedule to provide for the retention and disposition of any records that the commission might happen to create as the part of its work. So as I said, this has been a very gratifying experience for me, and I am pleased to have had the opportunity and the continuing opportunity to do so. So if you have any questions.
Okay.
Through the chair, I just want to say thank you. We're in good hands with you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Sweeney. Councilman, anything else?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
The county recently provided funding to the commission to perform an inventory of all monuments owned by the county.
That is in progress. That is in progress.
Any idea of when that might be completed, or?
At the moment, I can't give you an estimate, but this has been ongoing, and I believe that contracts may have gone out with different companies. It's really very important. It's enough when if you're going to, or a certain party wants to install a monument on county property. And so we have that opportunity to review that. But at the same token, we have a responsibility to maintain all of the monuments that are on county property. So that's been sort of a dual responsibility that the commission, and as I said, it's really been a very gratifying experience for me.
So you've been a part of the commission since its inception.
Yes, yes.
And you were a key member in establishing the bylaws, creating the process for how the commission conducts its business. Do you have any ideas to improve the effectiveness of the commission? Challenges or opportunities?
Well, I think as time goes on, as we are presented with new challenges, we sort of come to the front and do what we can to meet those. So it has evolved over the years, and the very first couple of years, I did represent Public Works and, helped with the bylaws, helped to chair the meetings, and we started very gradually. It had been established a few years earlier, and but it was not fully instituted until I believe it was 2018. And so we were kind of starting from the bottom. And I must say, having the opportunity to work with so many different individuals, and each individual brings particular skills and, knowledge. And I think that's what makes it so viable and useful. I believe that looking over the bylaws is also always a healthy exercise to see, did we miss something? Do we need to make some changes? And that could be a topic. We meet regularly, and they're on the last Friday of the month. And so we want to make sure that we are available when any particular issues come up that would call for our review.
Any,
Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller?
Just want to say that I also strongly support this nomination. Dr. Cetina is the most knowledgeable person in Cuyahoga County in this field, and I would like to have my name added. Thank you.
Please add the councilman's name.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
Councilman Sweeney?
Thank you both very much.
You can add my name, you can add my name as well.
Oh, my goodness.
And she has a question.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Dr. Cetina, I wanted to say, and our chair kind of led with her questions. You've been with us since the beginning, from the initial move, the historic move, to the building that we are, and you've just been really
Yes.
ingrained and very thorough every time you've come up here. Kind of the strategicness that I've kind of led the HHS directors is making sure that they have someone to fulfill their role should they leave or whatever the case may be, because they are so specific areas of expertise. And so that's my question for you today. Who do you have? We don't want you to go anywhere, don't get me wrong. But I just, as you know, strategically thinking, who would you designate in your office now that could fulfill your role?
I don't know that there's anyone right now. I have a great staff, but many of them have, well, they haven't been there as long as I have, but they have a great deal of seniority, and I would be looking for someone who is maybe not beginning in the profession, has had some experience. It's very important to me that they are knowledgeable of the archival principles, and that they either have a library science degree, background in history, so that we have someone that is prepared to carry out these particular duties. So that is one of the difficulties because of the job title that I do have, which is not county archivist. I have another job title. So I think it would be helpful if at some point that the title that for this position would be truly designated as Cuyahoga County Archivist.
I think you mentioned that before. Did you mention that before?
Yes, we have. Yes, this has been discussed by our the commission that has been set up for the county, for the county archive. So this has been under this discussion.
Let the chair handle that. Yeah, I thought you had mentioned that before, and I
Yes,
apologize.
yeah, and
that
so
I
it has not, yeah, and so that's going to be key, so that whoever is going to apply for this particular petition or position does have the proper background and experience, and then that would be specified in the job description.
This role change or?
Right, right.
would
And
help.
it certainly would be helpful to have someone that I could work with prior to time of retirement, and so that I can partake some of the knowledge that I have accrued over the years, and so that we have someone who could move into that position. So that's being, I think, thought about and considered, and is being taken up by the Archives Advisory Commission. And we're very pleased to have a very active commission on the behalf of the archives.
Sorry to give you work, Madam Chair.
First
I just
heard of
know,
it, so it must
I
have
know,
been during
yeah,
her
she's
last
mentioned it
hearing.
before, and definitely want her to, because she's been with us historically from the move from.
Well, actually, I've been back to Franklin, where I was for many years prior to the move. So I've seen it all from when it was in, the very, very, very beginnings, and
You
have
didn't bring
seen
any
it
ghosts
evolve
back, did
over
you?
time.
You didn't bring any ghosts back, did you?
You know, we wondered about that, and there were times, for those of you who are not familiar, we had many a ghost in the our building on Franklin in Ohio City, and the building was constructed in 1874. And we did have some interesting kinds of experiences, but perhaps they felt more comfortable staying there where they were. So, and we have not seemed to inherit any other of the otherworldly. So you're safe if you come and visit us.
Okay. There are no further questions for Dr. Satina. I'm going to ask for a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading, approval under suspension of the rules.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you so much for your dedicated and compassionate leadership in this space. And thank you for continuing to come back. I'll look into that.
Thank
that
you.
title change.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0112, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Juan Chiarte to serve on the Monument Commission for the term March 1st, 2024 through February 28th, 2027.
Madam Chair, pursuant to the Cuyahoga County Charter, Section 206.10, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Juan Chiarte to serve on the Monument Commission of Cuyahoga County for a term that started March 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Madam Chair, council members, I have to apologize if I'm a little hoarse, but I'm getting over a head cold, but I felt it was important to be here. My name is Juan Chiarte. After graduating with a BFA in illustration from Carnegie Mellon, I came back to Cleveland. I worked for Penton Media for 16 years as an illustrator and graphic designer, and then I've been freelancing on my own for 20 years. Ever since I came back to Cleveland, I've been members of various boards. I was part of neighborhood counseling when they merged with Recovery Resources, and stayed on for a good 10 years as part of that merger. I was part of, when my friends founded Art House Inc., I was part of some committees for that. That's in Archwood, Denison area. And I was part of the initial artist review board as part of Cozy Arts in the short-lived Cozy Arts era of Cozy, which later got merged into Cozy. So I don't believe there's any more Cozy Arts. But I was asked by Armin Budish to be part of the initial Monuments Commission, and I function as the working artist member of the group, I would say. I am, besides being a graphic designer and working with various corporations, I also am part of the fine arts, mainly through the drawing groups that function in Cleveland. Cleveland has an amazing array of art entities that are more ad hoc, do-it-themselves kind of groups. And I helped co-founded an event called Drawn and Quartered, where we bring together 4 of the drawing groups that I'm part of. And the idea is to get the art-making process in front of people that may not be exposed to the arts. And we've have events. We just, after a 4-year layoff from COVID, we came back last year at the Brown Hoist building. We've been at the Transformer Station. We've been at the Beck Center for 2 years. We've been at the 78th Street Studios. And again, the event is to try to bring the arts to the masses. And I think this commission that we have is a great cross-functional team that, as you mentioned with Judith, we were there from the beginning, so we had to come up with the mission statement, the bylaws, and it took us a while to get the RFP paperwork figured out, and we've just had, we've had a couple submissions that didn't quite go through the whole process. Right now, we just met with the first group last Friday that is going through the whole RFP process. And amazingly, and they really filled out the RFP very well. And it looks like that'll be a big success.
Any questions? I'll ask you the same question. You've been around for a while. Can you talk about any ideas that you may have to improve the effectiveness of the commission? Or can you talk about some of the projects that are currently under review by the commission? Either
Well,
one.
the one from last Friday, I don't believe it's, I think it's, a lot of members of the council are familiar with the Superman statue that's going through, and we met with the committee that put that together. And they worked with us. When we gave them the RFP, we worked with them on how to basically fill it out, and they did a great job, and it looks like it's going to go through fairly quickly. But we've had other ones that have come through that didn't fit the criteria. It was difficult to, before having all the criteria and the RFP, it just kind of worked out that we told them what we would need. They kind of went away and never really came back. So they kind of saw that they didn't have all the parameters in place to present. But we've had 2 or 3 items that have come in. And the big process has been identifying the vendors for the inventory, which we did identify and is going through the process, as Judith said. And also the vendor for the maintenance part of it, which it needs to be, it really needed to start last year, but you know, we have a very good team identified, and you know, maintenance is going to be a big part of things going forward.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. If there are no further questions, may I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading approval under suspension of the rules?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Resolution 2024-0114, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Chad Egspuler to serve on the Commission on Human Rights for the term March 1st, 2024 through February 28th, 2026.
Chairwoman, on behalf of the county executive pursuant to Cuyahoga County Charter Section 206.13, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Chad Egspuler to serve on the Commission on Human Rights for the term that started March 1st, 2024 and will end February 28th, 2026. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Chad Egspuler of Akron, Ohio, originally from Dallas, Texas. I have been a partner at Tucker Ellis in the Appellate and Legal Issues section, where I've been private practice for the past 9 years. Prior to that, I spent 6 years working as a law clerk to 3 different judges in the federal courts. I'm really honored to be here today seeking reappointment to a position on the Human Rights Commission. It has been a high privilege to work with the other commissioners this past 2 years, hearing and adjudicating the cases that we've received, and also the outreach component that we do in the community. One of the challenges our commission faces is that many members of the community are not as aware of the legal protections that exist and the processes that are in place to have their claims heard. So part of what we do is get out to different bar organizations and potentially universities just to get information out there about what the legal protections are. In my day job, I wear a number of different hats. I'm an advocate in many ways. What's different about this position on the commission is that we have to be a neutral. We have to be able to be an administrative law judge in a sense to hear the claims that come before us. We don't represent either party. We have to be able to fairly and neutrally adjudicate the claims that come before us. But one of the reasons that I'm passionate about working with this committee, since I have been in private practice since leaving the courts, the most rewarding work that I have done year in and year out has been a variety of pro bono projects with Equality Ohio, the Trevor Project, and also special counsel appointment work for the Attorney General's office. Just different forms of public service, making a difference. And I am also now the incoming co-chair of the law firm's Committee on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. So I'm most honored to be here today seeking reappointment. I'm happy to answer any of the committee's questions. Thank you.
Okay, just a little background. The Commission on Human Rights was established to promote principles of diversity, inclusion, and harmony in the County of Cuyahoga County through education, community events, the provision of advice to the Cuyahoga County Council and the County Executive, and through receiving and resolving complaints. As a reappointment, I definitely want to thank you for your service. Can you provide some insight as to what the Human Rights Commission has been working on recently?
So in the past few months, the primary focus has been on receiving and adjudicating the cases. We've actually had a vacancy in one of the commission spots. And so I think some of the attention of late has been on kind of refocusing with our new commissioners what the plan of attack is going to be to get back out in the community. We were more active, I think, in the first year of the past 2 years, and speaking at different events, whether it be through Cleveland Metro Bar Association, other different bar associations. We have a PowerPoint presentation where we go through some of our bylaws as well as some of the different provisions of the ordinance, just to educate people and to help them get those educational materials out. So I think that's something that we would want to do once we sit down with the new commissioners. It also depends too, depending on the other commissioners' interest and the council's interest. There are a number of issues that we follow at our firm and at the different practices that they bring and the experiences they bring. A number of issues are changing right now with within the EDI field. For instance, the U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Students for Fair Admissions against Harvard and University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That's an issue that at Tucker Ellis, our own Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee is looking at. That, in different pro bono aspects and hats that I might wear with different potential clients, that's something that I would want to be able to advise them on. If that's something the council would be interested in taking a position in future casework, and if that's something that the commissioners were tasked with or interested in getting involved with, there are a number of cases that potentially could benefit from amicus work. As amicus work, it's not necessarily on behalf of one party or another, but it's to educate the court on important policy areas. So one thing, in bringing that up, it's not to suggest that's something that definitively is where the commission's going to go. But any sort of avenue and advice that we would take on in an advocacy role, each of the commissioners would necessarily have to do their respective conflict checks and to make sure that their hat they're wearing is not conflicted with another hat that they might be wearing.
Okay. Any final thoughts about improving effectiveness of the commission, challenges, opportunities? Have what you need?
Madam Chair, I think one of the talking points that we've had when we've had our meetings is it a good sign or a bad sign that we don't get very many cases? And most of the cases that we do by our jurisdictional limitations belong before other entities such as the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. We've made referrals to the respective federal agencies where there's overlap with federal legal protections. And we have a strict jurisdictional limitation that tells us to filter out what type of discrimination is being alleged. There's a lot of overlap with our ordinance and the state legal protections, which is great. It also means that the state takes priority on those claims unless they elect to proceed before us. So in the jurisdictional process, we actually end up with very few cases, and none over the past 2 years have advanced to a trial setting. So we ask ourselves, is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'd like to think that the citizens of our community are treating each other with respect and dignity and adhering to the legal restrictions and protections. But we also worry that maybe that's a sign that people don't know. Maybe they don't know that they have legal protections and a process by which to have their grievances heard. And so if they don't know, then we think that's on us. And how can we get out in the community more, get this information out there, and make sure that people who have grievances can have them heard in a neutral process.
Is this information something that I could put in a newsletter?
Sure, I think that could be a recurring feature in a newsletter. We do currently have a webpage that provides links. I don't from memory know if we have links to our bylaws, but we do have links to the ordinance and the non-discrimination protections that are provided there. They're the 3 core areas, so it's housing, public accommodations, and employment are the 3 areas of focus for our ordinance. And I believe I was just refreshing, but on our webpage, we help the committee to see jurisdictionally which claims we're likely to refer on. But that's part of the referral process. If we receive a complaint and jurisdictionally we cannot hear that, within 5 days, usually within 3 days, the commission will have a vote and issue a letter and provide specific detailed information. This is the point of contact for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, for the Federal Housing Commission, or for OCRC, so that those complainants will have resources by which to pursue their grievances before the appropriate bodies.
Thank you. Councilman Miller?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for your service. And my question is regarding the cases that have come in that you do have jurisdiction on. Do they mostly relate to LGBTQ, or is it broader than that?
Through the chair, Councilmember Miller, so of the past 2 years that I have been on the commission, we have not had any cases proceed beyond that jurisdictional threshold. The way the ordinance is designed, there is overlapping protection for a variety of protected classes with both federal and state legislation. So if there were discrimination on the basis of race, on the basis of sex, on the basis of religion, those types of items are by law beyond our reach because there is a higher body that would take priority, whether at the state level with OCRC or through different federal agencies. So because there is no statewide or federal-wide protection for sexual orientation and gender identity, those would be the only cases that would be within our exclusive jurisdiction. So when we go through the jurisdictional screening process, we read through the form, and the form helps guide both a narrative description of the alleged discrimination, but what types of discrimination they think it is. And we compare both the complainant's description of it, but also our understanding of what they're alleging happened to them. And we'll have a discussion amongst the commissioners to determine, is this an age discrimination complaint? Is this a race discrimination complaint? Is this within employment, public accommodations, et cetera? And at the end of that, if it's not sexual orientation or gender identity, then we are by law supposed to recommend that they take their claims to whether it's the federal agency that would have jurisdiction or the state agency. And it's in the option of the complainant if they wanted to proceed for some reason solely before us, and for a number of reasons that would not be wise for them to do. They may have legal obligations to exhaust their administrative requirements through those bodies. So those cases haven't come to us, and we have not had any over the past 2 years cases of sexual orientation or gender identity discrimination brought before us. This goes back to the question, are they not happening? And that's a good thing. Are they happening and people don't know and they're not aware that they can make a complaint? So we have not had any cases proceed to the trial setting.
Through the chair to Chad, what's your working relationship with our HR department? I would assume that that's where our department would see more of those type of complaints or things of that nature.
Through the chair to Councilmember Conwell. So the legal department has been our primary point of contact and liaison through the larger council, and they've been terrific. We have not, to my knowledge, had direct interactions with or planned programming with the HR department, but I think that would be a good thing. It'd be helpful for them to know what types of complaints and issues we are seeing, just I'm sure for their own edification. And it would be helpful for us to see the types of issues that they think that they're seeing in their sphere. And if there's a delta, an area where certain issues are being brought to them but not resulting in complaints to us, then that will help us to understand that there's a communication gap in the community that we can hopefully address.
What about the Inspector General's office? Any connection?
No, to my knowledge, we have not had any direct communications through the Inspector General's office, although I do recall as part of a conflict check process in the past 2 years, I think through our legal department, they may have referred a question to the Inspector General's office.
So I don't know who facilitate that, the administration or what, for you to be able to have some more conversations with our HR department.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hi, Councilman Gallagher.
Yeah, I vaguely recall when we implemented this commission, and I believe at the time I did question as to, I couldn't understand how anyone would, they have to agree to go in front of you, right? You can't compel. How many of you had since inception? That you said trial. What does trial mean?
Through the chair to Council Member Gallagher. So there's a process by which we receive a complaint, and we would do a jurisdictional screening to see if we have primary jurisdiction or secondary. We then issue a decision letter about whether the case is going to belong in front of us, and it does stay in the option of the complainant if, despite our lack of primary jurisdiction, if there's an overlap, if they choose to proceed in front of us. So you're correct. We do not have a power to compel the cases to come to us or to stay with us. What I'm suggesting, so in both the way the ordinance is set up and in our bylaws, if a case is within our primary jurisdiction, and there, I believe, and I'm doing this from memory, but I believe there's an option for an alternative dispute resolution process. But if it proceeds to a trial setting, it's not obviously a court trial. The federal rules of evidence do not strictly apply, but there's a process by which the complainant is able to present evidence, testimony in a hearing. And during such a hearing, there would be the 3 commissioners presiding over that. And then the respondent would have a chance to have the claims against them heard, to present contrary evidence if they so choose. And then there's a standard provided by the ordinance by which the matter would lead to a decision from the commissioners. That would be subject to an appeal to the state courts.
How many of you had that have gone through the whole process?
None.
That's what I predicted. You're kind of caught between a rock and a hard spot, quite honestly, there.
Well, we're stuck at the starting line, so to speak.
Yeah.
A case comes in, we have allegations, of wrongdoing, that some of which are completely outside of our jurisdiction. Some have overlapping jurisdiction between a federal or a state agency and our commission. And only the acronym is SOGI, Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity. Those would be the only types of complaints that we would have exclusive jurisdiction, because there's not statewide protection for that. We have not received any of those complaints. So in a sense, there is no complaint that moves past the starting line since the past 2 years.
And you're back to square one. If you do have a complaint, you don't have the ability to compel. So all you have is a complaint.
That's correct.
It's a concern. It was a concern I'm sure the council had at the beginning. I do recall that we did have concerns, at least I did, that while on the surface it sounds like a good thing, what are we going to produce? And so, okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. There are no further questions. I'll make the motion to move this item to the full body of the council for second reading approval under suspension of the rules. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you so much for your service. Expeller. Did I
Yes.
say it right?
Yes.
Say it again.
Eggspeler. Rhymes with Ferris Bueller.
I too. Thank you. Rhymes with.
Resolution 2024-0116, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Deidre McPherson to serve on the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority Board of Trustees for a term ending March 3rd, 2027.
Okay. Councilwoman, Deidre, I'm on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 306, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Deidre McPherson to serve on the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority Board of Trustees for a term ending March 3rd, 2027. As discussed before, Deidre was before this committee less than 6 months ago to present on her appointment to the RTA board, and with the councilwoman's approval, she is not in attendance today to present, but happy to discuss if you have any questions. And we are requesting a second reading suspension on this legislation.
Okay. No, so at the request of the county executive, she will not be required to attend. And I will go ahead and make the motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading under suspension of the rules. Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Madam Chair, the next item will be taken out of order. Item number 50, Resolution 2024-0122, confirming the county executive's appointment of Emily Campbell to serve on the Cuyahoga County Women's Health Commission for the term May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2027.
Chairwoman, I know you briefly discussed the Women's Health Commission when Dr. Bean presented, but I do want to reiterate your points about the importance of this commission. We do have a lot of folks here today to present on their appointments, so I will move speedily through this process. But pursuant to Section 206.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Emily Campbell to the Women's Health Commission for an initial 3-year term starting May 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension, and Emily is here to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Emily Campbell. As my day job, I am the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Center for Community Solutions, and as my all-the-time job, I am the mother of 2 young girls, and we reside in Cleveland Heights. They attend the Cleveland Heights, University Heights School District. I'm so pleased to be here before you this morning to be considered as an inaugural member of the Women's Health Commission for Cuyahoga County. You know, in a forthcoming report from the Center for Community Solutions looking at the status of the health and well-being of girls across the state, we have a quote from former First Lady Michelle Obama that communities and countries and ultimately the world are only as strong as the health of their women. This is something that is borne out through the research that we do at Community Solutions, as well as through my own experience in looking at communities across Cuyahoga County. The Center for Community Solutions recently released the status of women fact sheets, including information for Cuyahoga County. And what we found is that despite the fact that over 95% of women and girls in our community have health insurance, we still see that nearly half of cervical cancer is diagnosed at late stage, indicating that women are not receiving the preventative health care they need. This is a form of cancer that, if caught early, is almost entirely curable. We also noticed that older adult women are less likely than men to be up to date on preventative screenings here in Cuyahoga County, which makes this county an outlier. That's not the case in most counties. Usually, older women go to the doctor and get their health screenings more often than their male counterparts. Asking the questions of why. Why is this the case? What can we do to try and connect our world-class health services with communities is the reason that I'm seeking appointment to this very important commission. As you know, the Center for Community Solutions has a wealth of data and information, and I look forward to bringing that expertise and my own expertise to this commission to work together with a group of amazing women and citizens from Cuyahoga County to think about how can we collectively improve the health, social, and economic conditions of the community. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, and I'm honored to be before you today.
And thank you for your willingness to serve in this role. I'll ask you the same question that I asked Dr. Bean, which is, as this is a new commission, what are some of the first issues that you would like for the commission to address?
Well, one of the first things that I believe the commission should be looking at is the data and the analysis on what are the conditions in our community that are preventing women and girls from being as healthy as they can and that are holding back their well-being. You know, some of the data that we've already looked at suggests that there are significant racial and ethnic disparities within Cuyahoga County. We see differences in different parts and pockets geographically of the county in the health and well-being of women. Some of the research from Community Solutions a few years ago found a 25-year life expectancy difference between residents in a census tract just outside University Circle and one less than 2 miles away near Shaker Square. And so these are the kinds of disparities that we need to take a look at, see what is working for people, working well, apply more of that to those for whom health systems don't seem to be working. And we know that 80% of a person's health is determined outside the walls of a hospital. And unfortunately, the more we look into it, your zip code determines more about your health than your DNA. These are issues that we can address in Cuyahoga County. We have the resources and we have the will to try and make a difference in the lives of individual women and girls, which can lead to a difference in the health of our and well-being of our entire community.
Are there any further questions, Councilman Miller?
So the use of factual information in the political process has seen a precipitous decline in recent years. And the Center for Community Solutions has been fighting a losing battle in that regard. But your appointment to this commission would be a step in the right direction. And I believe that you can make a difference, and I strongly support your nomination. I'd like my name added. Thank you.
Please add Councilman Miller's name.
Thank you, Councilman.
Are you done, Councilman?
Yes, Councilwoman Conwell.
Through the chair to Ms. Campbell, you spoke of the health screenings for women. Is there some sort of list of the different various screenings that women can have?
Yes, there is a full list. I don't have it before me today, but would be happy to provide that information.
Can you send that to the clerk? Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Well, short and sweet. Again, thank you for your willingness to serve in this inaugural role. I'm sure my colleagues as well as myself are looking forward to hearing about this experience and what our outcomes are going to be. So again, welcome, and we look forward to learning more about what the commission does over the next few years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I have my name added to all of the,
Please add Councilwoman Conwell's name to everything,
to all of the
all of
Women's
the
Health
Women
Commission?
Commission nominees. Okay. Mine as well, but add my name to everything. Sorry about that. Okay. I move that we send this to the full body of council for a second reading under suspension of the rules. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Council Rule 9C allows for the reading of very similar items by abbreviated titles. Therefore, items 5L through R will be read into the record by abbreviated titles if there are no objections.
There are no objections, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2024-0118, confirming the county executive's appointment of Nikisha Nickerson.
Chairwoman, on behalf of the county executive pursuant to section 206.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Councilwoman Nikisha Nickerson to the Women's Health Committee for an initial term of 1 year. And that'll start May 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman?
Good morning, Chair and members of this committee. My name is Nikisha Nickerson, and I'm honored that the county executive has nominated me for appointment to this Women's Health Commission. Just a little bit about me. I am a long life resident of Cuyahoga County. I am currently serving of council member for the Village of Woodmere. I have several articles published on the Thrive Global's Well-Being and Behavior Change platform. I am a member of the Greater Cleveland YMCA Equity Committee, the YMCA Warrensville Advisory Board, and a member of the international organization, the Sumaira Foundation's Coalition of Health and Equity. For 15 years, I have served as member or worker at the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority in its low-income and public housing departments, where I facilitated the safe change of residents for hundreds of families, including those relocated under the federal Violence Against Women Act. In my roles, those previous and current, my focus has always been wellness and care for families and those who are vulnerable in our community. My desire is to advance health and wellness in the community is a long-standing goal, and it is a both professional and personal endeavor. This is instrumental and in many aspects life-changing work, and I hope to use my lived experience to empower the voices of those who feel silent. By joining this committee, I overall hope to be an advocate in spaces that can evoke change for those who are suffering, to help provide an opportunity for women's health, their choices to be heard, valued, respected, and have those things without dismissal or delay. Council, it will indeed be my pleasure to learn and serve with others dedicated to a healthier and more equitable future for the women in our community. So I thank you for your consideration of my nomination today, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. And again, thank you for your willingness to step up into this inaugural role. And I'll ask you the same question as the other ladies. As this is a new commission, what are some of the first issues that you would like to see this commission address?
I think, firstly, I would like to see the advocacy for women's health just in general. Patient-centered diagnosis and care, where things are developed, where patients are listened to, where medical facilities and things thinks of people and listen to people who have experienced these tragedies or care concerns. I will hope for us to map out unmet needs, to find out, get a better understanding of what is needed. We have the data and everything, but I would like to actually kind of dive into that a little more. Increase equitable access to diagnosis and prevention and care for patient empowerment and advocacy training.
Any further questions for Councilwoman Nickerson? Councilman Miller?
Just a comment that you're an experienced and respected community leader, and we're fortunate to have you on this commission, and I support the nomination and would like my name added. Thank you.
Okay, please add Councilman Miller's name.
So much.
Okay, are there any further questions for Councilwoman Nickerson? Okay, there are no more questions.
Thank
Again,
you.
we want to thank you for your service. I will make the motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading approval under suspension of the rules. Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Resolution 2024-0120, confirming the county executive's appointment of Jasmine Long.
Chairwoman, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to section 20603 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Jasmine Long to the Women's Health Commission for an initial 3-year term starting May 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jasmine Long, and I'm the president and CEO of Birthing Beautiful Communities, and it is my honor to be before you all today. At Birthing Beautiful Communities, we are singularly focused on reducing infant mortality and maternal morbidity in Northeast Ohio, of which we have really poor outcomes. But I'm excited to join forces with the other lovely women who have been selected to be a part of this commission as we seek to change the narrative, some of which we are already doing in our respective workplaces, but to come together as women, to come together as a community to really figure out what we can do to, as Ms. Nickerson was just saying, to talk about the unmet needs, to talk about patient-centered work, and to really look at advocacy. So even though we're doing work at Birthing Beautiful Communities around infant mortality, I'm glad to see my partner Sabrina Roberts here, because we actually do provide services to the women who are in Cuyahoga County Jail incarcerated who are pregnant. And I think that it just speaks to, we touch so many different women and families in our communities, and I'm excited to be a part of this commission to help bring that lens. But also really, when you understand infant mortality and things that happen to women overall, it starts before we're pregnant. And so we have to really address the healthcare concerns and needs of women in our communities so that we're able to ensure healthy birth outcomes. I always say, when I'm speaking to funders, I think about how often myself, as somebody who does this work, who knows that you have to advocate for yourself, how even I go to the doctor sometimes and I feel made to feel less than and afraid to ask questions about my own health care. And that's as someone who does this for a living. So really making sure that we are able to have honest conversations with care providers, that we make sure that people feel empowered to ask questions that are really impacting their health care, because that is why you have so many women choosing not to seek care. I was in a meeting this morning. There's simply people in our community who have health insurance are just not going to receive the preventative care because of many different factors. And so we have a real opportunity to do some education, both on the client-facing side, but also on the provider side, so that we can really start to change the narrative. So I just really look forward to being able to provide support advocacy with my fellow colleagues on this commission if appointed.
Okay, thank you. And I'll ask you the same question that I asked the others. As this is a new commission, what are some of the first issues that you would like the commission to address?
Thank you. And it's a hard question, but I think that we do have so much data and so much research, and I'm excited to, have the Project Nora ladies doing their second round of interviews about the Bloomberg study that showed that this was one of the largest, worst places for Black women to live. And if you go to some of the events that they've been putting on, you'll find healthcare comes up with women just really sharing true accounts of things that have happened to them that have really caused them distress. And so I want us to be able to, synthesize the data that we have and actually put it to work to actually make some change in our community. So I think that we have the research, to your point, but we need to actually do something with it in a meaningful way that actually involves the folks who are affected and impacted by what's going on. And I often, again, say that even though Birthing Beautiful Communities, our goal is to reduce poor outcomes that are affecting Black women. But if we made healthcare better for Black women, it would be better for every single member of our community. And I think it's important to really share that narrative that we just want to be heard. If we had healthcare providers hearing women, we would be better off overall. So that's what I would like to see as we start this work.
And just one final question. I'm making an assumption here, but you might be the youngest member of the commission. Possibly.
Out of respect for my fellow
Okay.
ladies, I did not ask everybody their age, but she might be.
Okay, but just if you are, can you talk a little bit about what having a seat at this table would mean?
Absolutely. I feel, again, an immense sense of pride and honor to even be, to have the application process to apply and to be potentially selected because, one, I am a young woman, but we have at Birthing Beautiful Communities, I feel like we've been able to really shift the conversation about infant mortality over the last 5 years. And yes, I am young, but I think I'm a pretty dynamic person, and I've been able to really encourage our community to get behind an agency that really is unapologetically Black in our service provision for moms and families in Cuyahoga County. So I'm proud to bring that lens with me. I have my 2 master's degrees from Case Western. I teach at Case Western. I teach strategic planning at the school and community theory and practice. So really looking forward to bringing those skills as well as I'm collaborating with my colleagues. So, I am a young woman, but I'm really excited because I work really hard and I study and I try to educate myself so that I'm able to speak eloquently about what is important to me in this community. And I should say that I do have an agency of about 72 African-American women that I employ every day. And so I get to hear all of the dynamics. We have, some of our youngest staff members are probably 22 to everything from 77 years old. Every religion is at Birthing Beautiful Communities. And so by virtue of us touching 800 families every year and the women that work with me, we are really able to have a well-rounded understanding of what are the challenges that are really impacting Northeast Ohioans.
Thank you. Further questions for Ms. Long?
I don't have a question, I don't think, but through the chair to Ms. Long, I'm just trying to think in terms of the health care that we have for gynecology and birthing babies. There's not, I think there's kind of like a smaller segment of hospitals that do it now. It might be, it's been so long since I had a baby, but I want to thank Cleveland Clinic. What is that? Marymount? Not Marymount, but
Fairview Park and Hillcrest are there too.
Hillcrest, right. And then do we have Marymount still? Okay, and I know Metro delivers babies. So is that about?
And Rainbow.
And Rainbow, right. How can I forget Rainbow? Rainbow was one of mine. So seeing that gap has narrowed to just, before it was every hospital you could have a baby. How are they working with you and having conversations just around that area?
Thank you, Councilwoman. Through the chair to the councilwoman, we have some of the strongest relationships with healthcare systems that we've had coming out of the pandemic. The last 2 years have been incredibly strengthened because, to Emily's earlier point, we know that it's 80% social and 20% clinical. And so we're able to provide those the social support services that allow the doctors to be doctors, and we get to be doulas and really take care of the patients. And so we've really strengthened relationships there. Again, it just goes to the trust building. It goes to the relationships that are important to be had to actually make an impact and a dent on women's health. And we see that with our outcomes, we have 99% infant survival, and we don't see a loss of mothers in our program. And we know that maternal mortality rose during the pandemic significantly, and we also see a lot more substance use disorder and suicides affecting and impacting maternal mental health. So really taking a holistic lens and working in partnership and collaborations with the healthcare system, because to Councilwoman Conwell's point, until our birthing center is done, really the only way that you can have a birth right now is in the hospital system. So we have to work collaboratively in partnership, not adversarial, because we want to be able to ensure moms and babies are healthy.
And to add to that, there's been a lot of conversation in the community about C-sections. Some women feel that, I'm sure when you get, we're going to claim it when Birthing Beautiful Communities place opens up. That's a big topic that some mothers feel that they're kind of made to have C-sections. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know when that right time or that judgment call is. How are you reacting or having conversations about that?
Thank you for that question. And again, it speaks to the education and why our role as doulas becomes important because, you know, you're there to have a baby or you are being told a week before that something, maybe a fetal growth restriction and you need to have an emergency C-section. But you don't know what fetal growth restriction is or you wanted to have a natural labor and delivery. So now your whole plans are shifting to have a major surgery. And so we have to be there to be the kind of translator. And I would say it's like, you need doulas for the labor and delivery, but we need doulas just on our medical lives, just to have someone hold our hands and let us know that our question is not stupid. It's your body. It's your health care. Like, you have the right to ask the question and not to be made to feel small, that you don't know what fetal growth restriction is, but you need to have this emergency C-section. And those are very real in the moment decisions that are having to be made. And we as the doulas, we translate that. Because, again, the unfortunate part of today's society is that the news is right in front of us. So we see Black women dying in childbirth who are celebrities and women of means, and we know that it could be us next, right? And so because it's so present in our face, we were even more scared now than we probably would have been back in the day to have a baby, because we are so cognizant of what could happen. And so our role is to be the educator to say, the doctor is saying you need to have a C-section because this is what fetal growth restriction is. They might not have the time to take to explain it thoroughly, but that's what we are there for. And that does become so important because there is a healthy, in many situations, distrust of healthcare systems for African-American people overall. We have to be there to say it's okay. Or to advocate for mom when they don't want to make the decision, because there are some times where the doctor may suggest it's a highly suggestible C-section that they may be able to say no to. So being educated, I always say my team is as educated as about birth as anything. So that's why we're super laser focused on what we do, because we have to be able to have an educated conversation with our clients where they feel comfortable about whatever decision is being made with their body.
Okay, well, seeing as that we have no further questions for you, Ms. Long, thank you again for your desire, your passion for the work. We look forward to, hearing how things are going. So keep us in the loop. I will make the motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading and approval on the suspension of the rules. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, please add my name.
Please add Councilman Miller's name.
Resolution 2024-0121, confirming the county executive's appointment of Heather Brissett.
Chairwoman, on behalf of the county executive, pursuant to section 206.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Heather Brissett to the Women's Health Commission for an initial 3-year term starting May 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Good morning. Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and esteemed members of the council. I'm sorry. My name is Heather Brissett, and I am honored to stand before you today as a passionate advocate for community wellness and social services. Having migrated from Jamaica at the age of 13, my journey has been shaped by both personal experience and professional endeavors, all of which have fueled my dedication to improving the lives of others. My passion for advocating for women's health was ignited at age 11 when I lost my mother to breast cancer. Additionally, witnessing my grandmother navigating the health system as she sought care for hypertension and subsequent strokes solidified the need for the comprehensive healthcare and social services. For over 3 decades, I have dedicated myself to serving marginalized individuals and communities. This journey has equipped me with the insight into the social determinants of health, which enables me to approach health from a holistic perspective, recognizing the interconnected factors that influence well-being. Through my work, I have developed skills in systems thinking, policy analysis, and program development, essentially for addressing the broader issues affecting women's health. I have led advocacy efforts and policy development to drive positive change, always striving for inclusivity, equity, and accessibility in healthcare. My experience in community organizing enables me to engage diverse populations, ensuring their voices are heard and their needs are met. One of my main goals is to ensure that health initiatives are culturally competent and responsive. In my current role as the Vice President of Community Wellness, Chief Program Officer at Meredith Taylor Human Services System, I have spearheaded various initiatives in women's health, including breast cancer screening, mental health support, maternal health programs, diabetes prevention, sexual health education. I have worked tirelessly to promote awareness and advocate for policies that supports women's health. I am deeply honored to serve on the Women's Health Commission, where I will leverage my skills, experiences, and unwavering dedication to create a healthier and more equitable future for all women in our community. I look forward to the opportunity to work together towards the advancement of women's health in Cuyahoga County. Thank you. I'll entertain any questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'll ask you the same question, as this is a new commission. What are some of the first issues that you would like the commission to address?
Some of the first issue I'd like the commission to address is looking at the disparities to healthcare access and outcomes for women, especially women who are low income, women who are who have barriers to accessing healthcare. I think that we would need to sit down and discuss strategies that would reduce barriers to care and tackle the underlying issues to the social determinants of health.
Thank you. Any further questions?
I did have one, I don't know where.
Councilwoman.
Yes, through the chair to Ms. Brissette, something in that you shared with us, and I know that you're going to bring a broad range because you work daily with seniors, and although I'm out there for passionate for the young women that are still in childbearing years. As DSAS, Department of Senior and Adult Services statistics are constantly shared with us, that the community of elders are living longer in our community. So I know you'll be a good advocate for that. Have you connected or I want you to be a voice for the age-friendly communities for DSAS that we have, because there's geriatric health. There's a lot of things that are seniors, and they want to remain in their homes, and we want them to be as healthy as they can. So I guess it's more of a statement versus a question, that you be an advocate for our elders in the community, that even as they age, there's still grandmas. Some of them, many of them, are still taking care of their husbands at home. So,
yeah. So the chair, to Councilwoman Conwell, yes, that is a part of the work that I do on a daily basis at Meredith Taylor. We do have a senior department, and we often have seniors that come to us who are intimidated by going to their primary care physicians, not knowing, they trust them, but they don't understand everything that they say. So we sometimes assign individuals to go with them to advocate on their behalf and to simplify the terms that doctors may use. And then we also assist them with understanding their treatment plans, because they don't understand, the name of the medication or insurance, so forth. So yes, I would definitely bring that to the committee that will look at women from across the age span.
Especially for the medications. To me, my experience is always, every time I go to the internal doctor, is that they want me to leave with a prescription, and I'm one that, not really want to take prescriptions. I want to get to the cause of why I have the issue, instead of just,
Yeah, what the
placating.
underlying issues are and how the medication may have adverse effect. That's something that we're proud of at Murtis Taylor, because we actually have a pharmacy, and our pharmacy there works with educating individuals on the various medications that they may be prescribed.
Well, all right, it seems we have no further questions for you at this time. Again, thank you for your willingness to serve on this inaugural commission. We look forward to hearing about the great work being done there. So I will make the motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading approval under suspension of the rules. Can I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please add my name.
Please add Councilman Miller's name.
Resolution 2024-0123, confirming the county executive's appointment of Tennille Koss.
Madam Chairwoman, on behalf of the County Executive and pursuant to Section 206.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Tennille Koss to the Women's Health Commission for an initial 2-year term starting May 1st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension, and a special shout out to the amazing woman Tennille also brought with her today, her mother, her aunt, and her daughter, as well as her husband. But I think that's awesome.
Good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I am Tennille Koss. This is my daughter Eleanor, who is seeking appointment maybe 20 years from now, so please keep that in mind. Good afternoon, and thank you, Councilwoman Turner and all the esteemed members of council for inviting me to share with you my background and passion for women's health. As Justice Ginsburg said, women belong in all places where decisions are made. My law degree has afforded me the privilege of practicing in a variety of sectors where decisions are being made, including private and public Ohio universities and colleges, K-12 education, county government, and the healthcare sector. Throughout my career, I have always found my legal skills being used to advocate for those facing oppression or being denied the right to life, liberty, or property without due process of the law or denied equal protection of the laws. Unfortunately, we face a time in U.S. history where this is true for women's health care. The statistics are staggering, especially as they relate to Black women. For example, in 2021, the maternal mortality rate for Black women was 69.9 deaths per 100,000 live births, 2.6 times the rate for white women, according to the data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. As damning as the statistics are, the personal stories of families left shattered after losing their head female figure are heartbreaking, depressing, and infuriating. We must do better. My good friend Kathy Sinarski, whom I met at a La Liche meeting with her daughter Kinley, who was 2 months old, and I was still pregnant with my daughter Eleanor, passed away this December at the age of 40 with cancer, which should have been detected earlier. She left behind a loving husband and 2 beautiful children. My former neighbor Kelly Wallerstein, age 53, unexpectedly passed away 2 weeks ago, leaving behind 4 children, a husband, a loving family, and more friends than a person can count. My mother-in-law, Laura Kaus, was suddenly taken away from our family due to heart disease at the age of 51. She never saw me marry the most supportive husband ever, her son Michael Kaus, and never got the privilege to meet her granddaughter, Eleanor. My mother, Thomasina Jones, was taken away at the age of 21 to the public health crisis of domestic violence. She did not get to see my sister or I grow up. Cuyahoga County can be a leader in this area. We have world-class healthcare, universities, and resources. It is my hope to play a small role in getting us there with this esteemed group of committee members and county leaders. To the women of Cuyahoga County, this committee is your committee. I'm honored to represent your voices. Please share those voices with me. This seat belongs to you at the table. To the girls of Cuyahoga County, including my daughter Eleanor, Cuyahoga County will not sit by and watch you be denied equal protection of the laws. This seat at the table belongs to you. To the Black women of Cuyahoga County who face healthcare disparities, I am you. Having experienced maternal health issues and misdiagnoses myself, this seat belongs to you. Lastly, to my fellow nominees, as the late civil rights leader John Lewis said, it's time to get into trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Got me emotional up here, right? Wow. Councilwoman needs some tissue. This initiative is it's important to me because I've also seen the devastating effects of heart disease on those that I love. I lost my mother and my sister way too young to congestive heart failure. And as I listened to your story, I know both of them had sought emergency care, like right prior to their passing. And I feel like, you know, they were kind of disregarded in what was happening within their bodies. But thank you so much for bringing Miss Eleanor to be with you today. And I wrote your name down. We're going to keep you on the list for the future, for real, because I mean, it's a normal thing for our children to accompany us to work. But hey, this is hopefully will be one of those memories that are stored away that will motivate her to action when it's her time. So thank you for being here with us today, Ms. Eleanor. Councilman Miller like to add?
So thank you very much for stepping forward, and I'm truly inspired. You've been through so much, and you've seen it all at close range, and I think there's basically two things wrong with this country. The first one is that most of the time we're dealing with the wrong issues, not the things that are really the problems that are most pressing in our communities. And the second thing is even when we deal with the right issues, we fight over them instead of working together. And I just sense that you're on the right track on both parts, that you know what the issues are and that you'll be a positive force to help make things better. And I support your nomination. I'd like my name added and wish you the best of success.
Miller's name?
I just wanted to say I had the pleasure to meet Miss Eleanor and her mom out in the lobby for a quick minute. So I would just commend you for having your daughter with you, and hopefully you will feel that you could bring her to some of the committee meetings as well, so she can learn. We know their group is all about TikTok, and you know, to bring up that, you know, that her generation with, yeah, well, I know this, and you can advocate for your health care, so I could see it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with there being no further questions, I will make the motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading, approval under suspension of the rules. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0124 is being held as Ms. Santana was unable to attend today's meeting.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-0125, confirming the county executive's appointment of the Honorable Mayor Kim Thomas.
Madam Chairwoman, last but not least, on behalf of the county executive and pursuant to section 206.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Mayor Kim Thomas to the Women's Health Commission for an initial 2-year term starting May 1st, 2024. We are requesting second reading suspension. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Kim Thomas from Richmond Heights, Ohio. It's a pleasure and an honor to be before you all. I feel like I live here. It's almost like every week I'm here at the county building. So again, I humbly ask that I'm elected or appointed to the Women's Health Commission, along with my colleagues who have stood before you and shared their stories. And so I echo everything that they have said. And as the mayor of Richmond Heights, we have a population of 10,800 residents. 58.5% are women. So I understand advocacy, but I also understand what disparity of healthcare looks like. Last year in August, University Hospital closed down, and it was that defining moment that I knew that we were in trouble. It was at that moment that I knew I had to really do something different from what I did probably 4 or 5 years ago, and that was advocate to make sure that our residents had the health care that they need and that they deserve. And with Richmond Heights being 58.5% women, I had to put some skates on. And so what we actually did was, and I'm proud to say, we launched our first paramedicine program. And Councilwoman, you mentioned DSAS board. I serve on a DSAS board, and the DSAS board, as you said, are for the senior citizens who really need the health care. And DSAS is going to, Richmond Heights will benefit from the paramedicine program because it's going to go into the homes and take care of those seniors. And so I want to back up for a second and just kind of lay out why it's important to advocate for the residents and the women in Richmond Heights. That number just blows my mind when I see 58.5% are women. And so last year, or in February this year, we put together a health and wellness fair, and we collaborate with 2 amazing healthcare systems. And this has never been done before with UH and with Metro Health. And we had Dr. Steed there, we had Dr. Barksdale there, and both of them talked about the disparity of healthcare in the Black and brown community, but mainly with women. And so during the pandemic, I launched our first vaccine clinic that provided life-saving vaccines to our residents and partnered again with University Hospital. And one of the things that we really don't talk too much about, and that's preventative health care. And so how did we get to where we are? And so I think it's through that education piece. We have to be taught at an early age preventative health care. And that is what this group is all about. I think for me, and I'm passionate to be a part of it, is advocating for women and just educating them on the importance of health care. As you most of you know, this is not my voice, but this has been my voice for the last 2 years. And we have to be our own advocate. It was a year and a half ago that I started losing my voice. And I really couldn't explain why. No one could explain why. But I think it's important that we now as women have to advocate not only for ourselves but for others. But in order for us to advocate for others, we have to be a great advocate for ourselves in order to help the other women that are coming before us or after us. And so I look forward to working with so many other women that are appointed to this board so we can continue to do the great work in the community. And you know, when you look at advocacy, this is not new for women. I say we are the backbone of the community. There's nothing that we can't do. It's just a matter of us taking this torch and continue to carry it. So again, I am honored to stand before you, but I'm also honored to work with some giants that are appointed to the Women's Commission so we can continue to do the advocacy that we were born to do. And so again, I humbly ask for your appointment, but I also ask for the appointment for my colleagues who spoke so eloquently before me. I'm gonna kind of shut down before my voice shuts down. So again, I appreciate you, and hopefully when I come back, I will have a little bit more of a voice. So I thank you for allowing me to be here with you today.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your willingness to serve. I'm going to ask you the same question, which is that this is a new commission, and what are some of the first issues that you would like the commission to address?
And so thank you for asking me that question. And to continue to do what you all are doing right now, advocating and appointing women to this commission. But more importantly, when I think about this commission, I think about the incredible women that will currently serve on it or that's serving on it and the ones that's coming before this board. As we take care of the community, I always ask, who takes care of us? And so I would highly recommend that maybe this commission also have like a mentoring session for the Women's Commission. Because once we pour out into the community, we go home and who's going to recharge us? And so that would be my only request.
Okay. All right. Did you hear that?
Loud and clear.
I mean, it's just a recommendation.
You know, I have to admit, because you jokingly said it when you came up, it's like, here you are again, Mayor Thomas. Just want to make sure that, one, you're taking care of yourself because you're everywhere. You
am.
serve in quite a few capacities. So you make sure that you're taking care of yourself. We need compassionate leadership like yours. Thank you for agreeing to serve on this inaugural commission. We look forward to hearing about the results and the work that you're doing. Maybe we'll get invited to the Mentors Retreat too, colleagues and I. So,
Got it.
do we have any further questions?
Here,
Councilman Miller?
can I just make one more comment, Mayor?
Yes.
I'm calling you Mayor, Councilwoman. And so you're absolutely right. I am out there all day, every day. And it was hard for me to say no when I got the phone call, can you show up? Am I on voice restriction? I am, but this work is so important. And I felt the little bit of voice that I do have, I need to get out there and make it heard. So, but thank you.
Councilman Miller?
So, I would just say that there are very fine people who have been appointed to this commission, but you also are a giant. You have served for years with distinction in many capacities, and I'm sure that you will add a very important voice to this commission. And I particularly second what you said about the preventive health care and agree with what Ms. Conwell said about the prescription drugs. There's just so many health problems and so much medication that wouldn't be necessary if we would pay more attention to some things and head off some problems at the front end. And I think that our community's success and survival depends on doing that a lot better than what we're currently doing, and I appreciate you bringing that to the fore, and I'd like my name added. Thank you.
Councilman Miller's name.
Madam Chair, I just, for Ms. Zoe Toskis, I'd like to, if she knows the date that they're going to actually start and, you know, keeping us abreast of that so we can attend periodically.
100%. We've got a meeting coming in May that I'll make sure you guys get the save the date for.
Do we know the date?
Not yet.
Not yet.
County executive schedule is a little insane.
Okay. Okay, so he wants to be at the inaugural one.
Yeah, Dr. Steed and, scheduling is going to be interesting, but it will be held in May.
And I just wanted to thank Mayor Thomas for the work that I've seen you do in the community. We don't talk often, but I see you, wherever I pop up, I see you, and I see that you're an advocate definitely for women and definitely for health. There's been some other arenas, but thank you for the service that you give back.
Thank you.
So there are no further questions for Mayor Thomas. I'd echo my colleagues' sentiments about your leadership and the value that you hold to us in our community. In the words of Teddy P, you're my latest, my greatest inspiration.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And on that note, I will make the motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading, approve under suspension of the rules. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, thank you. That's it, Sharon. Okay. Is there any miscellaneous business?
I just wanted to make sure that you got my name added for all of the women on the health commission.
I have that
All
noted. Thank
right.
you.
And Councilwoman, I would like to thank you for holding us way beyond the date so we could get all of these folks heard.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you for putting people in place so they can get to start working, give us some help, right? Okay, no miscellaneous business. This meeting is adjourned.
You're just lucky it's